Welcome to another episode of Gracias Come Again. Today I am sitting down, with one of the women that I have admired, just wanted to be like, and just totally followed my entire journalistic career. We're sitting down with journalist, mom, author, wife, trailblazer, and now part of My Cultura podcast network, Maria Hinojosa. Oh, bienvenida.
You made me get a little. That's very special. Thank you for saying so, and it's truly an honor to be here. It's just great to be here with you.
It's such an honor to have you be part of the network. I'm like, wait, hold on. Is this really happening? How did this even come about?
Well, Latino USA is the longest running English language news program.
Talk about it.
On any network. Radio, television, digital, etc. On any network.
Boss.
Basically, and I like to say that. So we have been around for over 3 decades now. We started in 1993.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mamita. Thank you so much. It means a lot to hear that coming from you.
You paved the way for us. I wouldn't be here today if what you've been doing for decades now wouldn't have happened. It's like, I thought I was doing something here by launching podcasts to give Latinos a voice. And then when I got into my deep dive, I was like, no. I said, Maria has been doing this forever. I'm a baby. I'm a newcomer. I don't even know what I'm doing right now.
You know.
But thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. You gave a face to what I wanted to be.
Oh, gracias, mamita. You have to remember that way back when, right, in the 1980s, when I'm in college, and basically that's when I start in college radio.
I saw that.
Radio was like our social media. That was where you would go.
Nueva canción,
but it was live radio.
Okay.
You were always taking calls from the audience. Mm-hmm. So live radio was like our Twitter. It was like our TikTok. It was our Insta. And people who wanted to be engaged, they just dialed up the radio station. And so that's really where it all started for me. And I love the fact that you quoted Nueva Canción y demás. That was my radio show on WKCR. We did it in Spanish. And you know what would happen? La gente nos llamaba. Because we have a 90-mile range, WKCR.
So they could catch it.
So people would listen and they'd call us up at, we ran from 10 p.m. until 1 in the morning. And they'd be like, deberían de hacerlo en inglés. You should do it in English. Your Spanish isn't so good. And we're like, we're college students. We're trying. We're trying to be prideful of our language. You should be proud of us. And we just kept on doing it in Spanish.
And I absolutely love that because, it just, back in the day, it was just like us on the radio, saying what we wanted to say, just speaking about the issues that other outlets weren't speaking about. And we needed that. And you saw this from day one, like how badly we needed it?
I don't know if I saw it from day one how badly we needed it. What I did know, because I was living it, was that we were invisible.
Makes sense.
From the mainstream news media and from the media in general, Latinos and Latinas were invisible.
Yeah.
So I loved watching journalists on television and then later on radio, specifically public radio. Pero ahí no estábamos, no aparecíamos, we were invisible.
Because I remember we would have to watch Telemundo or Univision to see anything Latino related. But if you were watching, the 10 o'clock news or Channel 7 news, we were not visible.
Well, I'm talking about way before that, mamita. I'm talking about the 70s, the 80s. Before Univision became the network, which, as you know, at one point it was the 3rd largest and most important, most watched network in the country, as it should be. Everything now with network television is up in the air. But I'm not giving up hope.
Oh, you're not. And neither are we.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, this is not going to cease to exist. We're not going away. There's got to be ways, that we can help, fund, Futuro Media.
Hell yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we going to make this exist? Like, as Latinos, and as, people living their life in Spanglish, it's like anybody who is you, who has been paving the way for us, who has been, been given voice to the invisible pretty much. We have to make sure we support you. Anything that you do, we have to get behind it, whether it be helping with funding, whether it be sharing the content. I want you to know, no matter what happens with this administration, you're not going anywhere.
That's so interesting that you should say this because this morning, that's exactly what I said to one of my coworkers.
Really?
Exactly what I said. Because a couple of weeks ago, to be honest with you, I had a rough spell. I felt like they got into my brain and I had abduction nightmares.
You're human.
Right. And I felt very worried and stressed and anxious. And, I have a great Dominican husband, and he was just like, calm down.
Herman?
Yes, Herman, who I call honey.
I know. When I saw your husband's name, I was like, wait. She must be like, espérate, ¿pero qué está pasando aquí? Honey Herman? My husband is Honey Herman?
I was like, am I in a dream? But anyway, so they got into my head, and I was very upset. But this morning, it's a beautiful Monday morning, and I just said to my coworker, I said, pase lo que pase, we are going to make it through.
Claro.
We're going to adjust. And then when we come out of this, we're going to have a rebirth. We are going to do something that we can't even imagine. And so I'm glad that you said that because, right, no nos vamos. They maybe they don't want to see us in all of our honesty, truthfulness, the facts of who Latinos, Latinas, Latinx, Latine people are, the facts. They don't want to see it. We're not going anywhere.
We're the majority. We're the Latin majority. I say it all the time. I do not feel like any lesser of. I don't feel like a minority. I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. I do not feel like I'm going to stop creating content for Latinos or shining a spotlight on Latinos. And you're my leader. You're not going anywhere because where am I going to be without Maria Hinojosa?
You know what? We are on the same wavelength, I swear, because do you know there are two words that we never use at Futuro Media, which is a nonprofit newsroom. We never use the term minority. Ever. No, we don't
majority.
Use the term. We don't use the term minority because white people have been told now they're going to be the minority, y tienen miedo, and it's just like we're not going to do things the same way. And the other word that we never use to refer to a human being is illegal. You will never hear us use the term
I hate that word.
illegal immigrant, nunca, jamás, never.
And why should we? We're humans.
Correct.
Why label us, especially labels that have such a negative connotation and labels that have become weaponized against us?
So the person who taught me to never use the word illegal, it's going to be a little surprising because, people think of me as such a Latina icon. Mm-hmm. They're like, Cesar Chavez must have taught her that. Dolores Huerta must have taught her that. Sonia Sotomayor. No.
Don't box me in.
No, it was actually Elie Wiesel who survived the Holocaust.
Author.
He was at Auschwitz. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. And when I met him, the one and only time I met him, I asked him about this. I said, I'm at CNN. They want me to use the term illegal immigrant as I'm writing my pieces. I said, what do you think? He said, there's no such thing as an illegal human being. The first thing the Nazis did was to declare the Jews to be an illegal people, and then gay people, and then trans people, and that they did that. They declared them illegal, and that's how they dehumanized. And he said, no such thing as an illegal human being.
And I'm so proud of you, for just taking a moment like that and just making it span, your career. Because you might have a conversation like that and just let it go and be like, oh, he said that. It was kind of cool. I should keep it. But nah, you were like, nah, these are the two words we are not going to be using.
Life-changing, and I make it a point to tell that story as often as I can because I think it's so memorable, and I think people will stop after hearing that story.
Come on, let's get it together. Let's stop using those terms, especially si somos Latinos.
And people will use it, O sea, yo entiendo. Like, people, it will come out of your mouth because you've been seeing it everywhere in all the mainstream. So you just have to catch yourself. And if someone says it in front of you, you can take a pause and say, can we talk about that term? So I'm very much in this moment, 2025, I'm very much like I'm engaging you in this conversation. I'm not going to be quiet.
You're holding us accountable.
Yeah.
As you should, because there's enough already going on, on social media, on television, in politics that we have to help, I guess, dial it back. That's the word I can use.
So interestingly, I was just interviewed last week for a piece that's going to come out in the very esteemed professional magazine, the Columbia Journalism Review. This is like very, high-end journalism.
Top tier.
And the journalist asked me, there was the National Association of Hispanic Journalists meeting that just happened in Chicago. I'm a proud member of the...
Member, or you helping run it?
Well, I was like one of the early ones. Okay. I'm not running it
okay.
now, not now, but I was a very early supporter of NAHJ. And this person said that there was a lot of talk at the meeting about how we cover immigrants. And she said, do we need to explain to other journalists to cover us with more empathy? Y mira, I was like, no, we don't need empathy. What we need is respect. So I actually, when people are like, ay, pobrecitos, mira, they're climbing the Darien jungle. Oh, man, they're on a caravan, those, poor people. And I'm just like, you have no idea the strength that these people have. The strength. So I'm like, no, don't look at them and look at them and say, damn, man, mis respetos.
That's it. That's all we want.
Y'all are prepared to climb a rainforest jungle to get to a dream? You're prepared to walk in a caravan 10 hours a day for weeks because you have a dream? And by the way, for anybody who's like, oh, well, they shouldn't be. Why are they in a caravan? That's actually the safest choice to make right now. So you're like, oh, they're so dumb. Actually, they're the smartest, most strategic thinkers, and they have ganas and grit that we should all want just a little piece of it.
La unión hace la fuerza. And, they're out there together. And, I've met women, that have made it to this country, and they go through a lot. And just to go through all those things and come here and be, a working, member of society after experiencing such trauma, that tells you the resilience and the strength that we Latinos have. No es una cosa fácil lo que estamos pasando. So I understand you. No me añoñe. Yo soy fuerte. Solamente respétame. When I see these videos of everything that's happening, with ICE, I'm like, the disrespect. Like what is happening right now? Like, even the fact that I can't see the face of an agent arresting me, to me, feels disrespectful.
No, it is.
Like, I need to see your face. Who are you? Where are you taking me? We're not being respected the way that we should be. We are humans. And it hurts me. And I think about it, and sometimes it makes me want to cry when I see the footage, because I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
It is to cry. It is to cry. And I see it as well. And I don't want to stop seeing it. But the point is that it's not enough to just see it, right? I think that, people have got to do something about our democracy. Again, what we're saying is you have to respect basic due process in our country. And basic due process is being tested on our backs. We are going to come and get you people, and we're going to use masks, and we're going to not identify ourselves, and we're going to terrorize you because you are the threat. You are Latinos. And it started with Mexican immigrants, and now it's everybody.
Oh, it is.
Es todo mundo.
We're
Toditos.
so targeted, and we're so villainized. Like, when did Latinos become enemy of the state number one? Like, when did this happen? It's like I turned around and all of a sudden the government hates us and America hates us and they want us gone. Like, what happened? And we are not the only people that migrated here. We're people from France, from Germany, from Poland, from everywhere. But Latinos are the only ones that are now bad people? What happened here?
So it's very complicated. It's not new. Immigrants have been targeted in our country since the 1870s, which is when the first people by law are excluded from the United States. And these are actually Asian Chinese women. It's the Page Act. Most people read about or learn about this. Well, I don't know what they teach in history now. But it was, the Chinese men had come to build the railroad. The wives of those men wanted to come to meet them. And the U.S. federal government said, oh, no. All of those Chinese women, you're all sex workers, and we're going to ban you. So it's called the Page Act. And then it went to the Chinese Exclusion Act. That was in the 1870s. So the issue of people, by the way, the only difference between us and anybody is that we weren't born here. That is the nature of an immigrant, is that we weren't born in this country. It's not new. Both Republicans and Democrats have participated in this. So shame on both of them. Both of them. I mean, Bill Clinton was the first one who started building the wall. Okay? So we can't, and Barack Obama, he is a constitutional scholar. we may love Barack for all kinds of reasons. He needs to own up to what he did by not creating a pathway to legalization for everybody, not just DACA, for everybody. And then the other piece of the puzzle that we have to talk about it, especially in My Cultura network,
Let's get it.
is the role that Latinos and Latinas, really mostly men, played in helping to get Donald Trump elected. Okay, we just have to own that. Like, what happened?
Maria, listen, during the election, I was down in Florida, and I kept seeing the Latinos for Trump vehicles, and everyone was so happy. And I'm like, ¿qué es lo que está pasando? ¿Qué es lo que esta gente no están viendo? Like, what is missing here? And when all of this unfolded, that's all I could think about. The parties, the trucks, the Latinos for Trump. And I'm like, we're part to blame here.
Oh, yeah. Now, at the same time, if you are a smart political operative and you understand data and demographics, you understand that you actually have to go after Latino and Latina voters. They went after our community in Spanish, in English, by flooding us with lies and myths and disinformation about any number of things. First big lie is that Donald Trump is a good businessman. I'm a journalist. I base everything that I do on fact. Mm-hmm. He has had 4 bankruptcies, and all of his businesses have basically tanked. When you see Trump on a tower, it's not his tower. He's just selling out his name, okay, because the name.
Negocio.
And the other big lie that we were told was that we immigrants were criminals and that we were destroying this country. There is less criminality among people who are immigrants. Period. Dot. End of story. Fact. Data. They were, I'm not sure if you saw this, but, they had pictures of Kamala Harris in the Revolutionary Communist Party headquarters, which were circulating in South Florida. Y la gente veía eso y decían, pero Kamala es comunista. Pero ella es socialista, esto va para donde Fidel, esto va para donde Hugo.
Esto se jodió.
Esto se jodió. Oh, y para los dominicanos, the big lie.
Claro que sí.
The big lie was, if Kamala Harris gets in, ella va a juntar a Dominicana con Haití. Over and over and over again.
Y tú sabes que los dominicanos eso es lo último que quieren.
Eso es lo último que quieren, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But the point is that you instill fear like this in people, that they think that voting for Donald Trump is what's going to save them. And now, la pregunta is, okay, now what's going to happen? Look at our economy and all of these people who we are watching. Y todavía hay alguna de nuestra gente, más que alguna, that say, no, pero está bien.
Oh, claro, porque especialmente si votaron por Trump, they're not going to say I was wrong. They're not going to say, pero people in my family who I know voted for Trump, my mother included, I'll be like, here you are. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you expected? Tú que siempre mirando Univision, que Donald Trump, que Donald Trump, que Donald Trump, coge ahí, ya no jode más.
And what does she say?
Bueno, que tú sabes que él es buen negociante, que él iba a arreglar todo. I'm like, está bien.
Okay, we'll see.
That was her thing. I'm like, but my thing is, y la persona, y el sentimiento, y el valor que le da al otro humano. Like, where is it? There is no heart. There is no warmth. There is no care for us. And it's visible and it's blatant. Do we not care about that for our leader here in America? Is it just all about numbers? No. I'm sorry. I need somebody who gives up about Latinos.
So that's why, to go back to Latino USA, that's why we do the work that we've done, right? We could see when we started the show in 1993. By the way, you don't know the number of people who are like, oh, how cute. Oh, they're starting a Latino show. Oh, my God, it's going to last 3 years. Oh, my God, that's so cute. It's never going to go anywhere. Here we are. Más de, 32 years later, 33 years later.
That's so fucking dope, bro. It's just like 30 years later.
Because we understood that, one, we were growing, but also that the essence of good journalism in the United States is to be representative. And so Latino USA we've been doing that work. Futuro Media, that I start in 2010, which was terrifying because I didn't think of myself as a media entrepreneur y nada de eso. I was a journalist. But that is the idea, to create a newsroom that is really representative. So we do the best journalism, which, gets us to win, I don't know, a Pulitzer, a Peabody, the Robert F. Kennedy Award, et cetera, et cetera.
Talk about it. Those awards, when you look up at them, you must be like, this is my legacy. And not only is it your legacy, but you did it for your people.
You know what? I don't look at the awards. I try not to think about it too much, because I think what made Futuro become this place where we win the awards is that we don't really think about the awards. We think about heart. We think about, how are we going to tell this story in a way that is going to touch someone? Like, we're not afraid to be journalists that do periodismo de corazón, periodismo de conciencia, journalism of conscience with a heart and radical transparency. So we just tell our journalists, go out there and do it, love it. And then we end up winning the awards. But to be honest with you, girl, are you kidding?
Girl.
Winning a Pulitzer? I mean, I'm good. I'm just
Emmys
sad. I'm sad.
with an S?
Yes, the Emmys. Yes. Lo único que me da tristeza es que mi papá no pudo verlo, lo del Pulitzer, aunque yo sé que él sabe. I know he's watching. But that is the immigrant girl's dream.
Papi sabía lo que tenía. I'm pretty sure que from day one tu papá sabía lo que él tenía. He was like, esta muchachita va a ser candela, como decimos nosotros.
Y después se casó con un dominicano, y mi papá así como que, ¿dominicano? And I'm like, ajá, artista, con arete, con anteojos oscuros, una cola de caballo.
Muy bohemio tu marido tuyo, right?
Un bohemio total.
Me
Germán
encanta.
Pérez, yes.
Me encanta eso. ¿Dónde se conocieron?
Aquí en un bar que existía antes in el Village. It was called the Village Gate. And every Monday night they had something called Salsa Meets Jazz.
Ooh.
So the night
I want to go already.
Oh my God, it doesn't exist anymore. But the night that Germán and I met, Dizzy Gillespie was playing with Tito Puente.
Oh my, iconic. Like,
okay.
You're just going to drop those two names like como nada?
And they were right, the stage was small. Dizzy with Tito Puente. And that's where Germán and I met, and it's a love
By chance?
story.
Or were you set up?
No, lo que pasa es que I was dancing with my girlfriend, actually, my Dominican queer girlfriend at the time. I mean, she wasn't my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend, not my lover.
Your homegirl.
My homegirl. And my future husband saw me from afar.
¿Qué tú estabas bailando? ¿Salsa?
Una salsa.
Me lo imaginé.
Una salsa. And, I'm Mexican,
I
so
know.
Mexicans, salsa doesn't necessarily come naturally.
That's not the thing.
Pero Deyanira worked on me. She worked on me until I learned all my steps. I knew how to not move too much. Y bueno, Germán me vio, and he was like, ¿quién es ella la que está bailando? And a Puerto Rican friend said, esa es la periodista Maria Hinojosa. Because I was on the radio already.
Ya tú tenías tu nombre, ya tú eras la periodista.
I was already
Se le
known.
prendieron los bombillitos a tu esposo. He was like, linda and successful.
And
Tráemela
smart.
para acá, ven.
Yeah, it was, it's a beautiful love story. We've been married now 34 years.
I saw that. I'm like, wow, 34 years. And you said we're still in love. That's the important part. Because you can be married 50 years and hate each other.
So the thing about marriage to me, and I learned this from my mom, who was married to my dad for 60 plus years. Mami me dijo, mira, when I was a little girl, Mami, what's marriage like? And she said, es mucho trabajo, mijita. And I remember saying, I was 7. I was like, what do you mean it's work? Work. Pero eso siempre se me quedó. And, one, you absolutely have to love this person, but it is going to be work. And for us, as powerful Latinas who have to be very, very powerful out here in the world, it's also important for us to know that we don't really want to carry the ego into the relationship with your partner.
We got to go home and then tone it down a little bit.
We do.
Be a little soft. It's hard work.
And it's hard because we're like, well, I don't want to be soft.
This is who I am.
This is who I am. But at the same time, to be able to, shine a light on them, on our partners. O sea, tener esa luz que uno tiene así en este trabajo that you have to have and bring it home and shine it with your partner. Also, the thing is that, I mean, truly, I fell in love with Germán Pérez because of his art. Like, if you see his art.
I did see his art. I stalked his art.
I mean, I just
Me encanta.
I'm just a huge fan every day. So yeah, I do love him as a human being. And also he's a great Dominican man in the sense that he took all of the challenges de tu país, and he turned it, instead of sour, angry, repressed, lashing out, because there's a lot of stuff that's happened on the island, and he, and he lived through a lot of that. He actually has turned that into creating beauty every day through art.
I love that. He said, I'm not going to be bitter. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be aggressive. I'm going to be, an artist. I love that. Un bohemio. Le gusta la música, su arte.
Bueno, en Dominicana hay una cultura de arte, de pintores, de música. You know it in Dominicana. Hay una cultura, una tradición de artistas very long, very long.
You're lucky because, you got that Latino that a lot of our parents like, no. ¿Qué? ¿Qué pintor? Absolutely not. ¿Qué cantante? Absolutely not. ¿Qué? Poeta? No.
Girl, let me tell you, my father was like...
Please tell me, because I'm like, how did you get this?
No, y afro-dominicano, taíno,
de todo.
Alto, de todo, vegetariano, it was like un escándalo.
Y tú en tu gloria.
Y yo en mi gloria. And
comiéndote el dominicano.
Oh, my God. Bueno, porque within the first 3 months me llevó a Santo Domingo.
Oh, he was serious.
So this was 1990s, yeah, very serious. And that's when I was like, no, me caso con este hombre. But...
She said, este mi tigre.
Mi tigrazo. The good thing was that Herman was friends with Juan Luis Guerra.
El maestro.
From a long time before.
Wow.
So with all of my Mexican family, when I introduced Herman, they were like, oh, qué escándalo. And I was like, you like Juan Luis? They were like, I see. I was like, bueno. Herman designed his first album cover, just so you know. Or I don't know if it was first or second, whatever.
¿Tú te sabes el nombre? How does it look? Because I know all.
The black and white, Ojalá que llueva café.
It's my grandmother's song, R.I.P. Abuelita.
Yeah, and then the inside, there's a cow with an umbrella.
Oh, yes, I know
He designed the whole... Yeah, you'll see it.
I'm going back to look at this because it's a beautiful connection. And it's a great way to sell family, because with Latinos, it's like we have to convince. My husband was also Afro-Latino. And my mom was like, pero ven acá. ¿Y este hombre? I'm like, mami, cálmate. Es el que me gusta. Y tenemos ya 20 años juntos. Yeah. And now she loves him. But at the beginning, it was just like the color wasn't making sense to her.
And so, again, internally among Latinos and Latinas, Latinx, Latine people, we have to have the conversation about that thing that we have all heard, which is real but also horrific, which is hay que mejorar la raza.
Claro que sí. Olvídate.
What the hell is that? I heard that as a little girl. I'm like, ¿qué?
Pero ven acá, tú no vas a mejorar la raza. Absolutely not. Yo me voy a casar con el tigre que a mí me gusta. Eso es lo que yo voy a hacer, ¿ok?
Eso va a mejorar.
La vida mía lo que tiene que mejorar. And, I touch on it. In my podcast, I sat down with Manny Perez, Dominican actor, and we talked about colorism, and we got dragged to infinity and beyond by Dominicanos, because we also, not only are we culprits of things like colorism, but then we want to say we're not, which is the bigger problem for me. It's like, not only are we doing it, but then we're saying we're not doing it. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Me and you could talk forever because we know all the issues, that plague our community, that are issues that have to be fixed before we can even get other people to view us the way that we want them to view us.
Right. That's why I'm saying that right now it's important that we have an internal conversation. Mm-hmm. What happened? Like, yes, there was mis and disinformation that was aimed at us. But I think, well, one, the Democrats completely don't even, that's a whole separate conversation. So it was theirs to lose and they lost it. But there's a part of Latinidad which is...
I love that word.
If we are being told over and over and over again, y'all are a bunch of criminals, y'all are a bunch of, quote unquote, again, we're not going to use the term, the I word, y'all are doing terrible things, then you are like, no, pero es que yo no soy eso. Mm-hmm. Y para no ser eso, if I'm not going to be that, then I got to be with this guy. That means I have to be with Trump. And it's like, no. First of all, fact. And that's something that in our community we really need to talk a lot, which is media literacy. Oh, people need to understand you need to triple fact check. Whatever you hear and see, triple fact check it.
In my own family, it's a huge problem. My tías, mi mamá, todo lo que ven en Facebook creen que es verdad. I'm like, mami, no, eso no es verdad. Que fulana hizo, mami, no, deja de estar buscando noticias en Facebook. Si ves algo y lo quiere comentar más para adelante, fact check.
Right.
There's no problem with, consuming media through social media, but fact check it. That's a huge problem. And then they share it. And somebody else shares it. And then this post that has all types of misinformation is shared 100,000 times on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm glad that you're having the conversation. It's
All
going to
day.
take a while. I know, all day, every day. Yeah, it happens all the time. So all of us have to be aware of it. By the way, it happens to you and me.
It does.
We see something on social media. If it makes you have an immediate emotional reaction, that's exactly when you have to take a pause before you hit share. You actually have to take a pause and say, let me, espérate un segundo, and really research, because there's a lot of mentirotas.
Sometimes if I'm very unsure on news stories, I'll sleep on them. I'm like, there's no reason why I need to share this in a rush. I just did that this morning. I work at Power 105.1, which is our hip hop station here, and I'm the digital director, so I handle the news. And there was a case, and a lot of misinformation, and it was just like, no, this happened, no, that happened, no, this happened, no, that happened. And I said, you know what? It's Sunday. I'm gonna wait for Monday morning. This morning, I woke up, the entire article from a news source, reliable. I said, okay, now I'll go.
Okay, good.
You know what I'm saying? And we can all do that. What is the thirst to share information?
So I'm going to tell you something that happened to me here in our beloved New York City right before the election.
Talk to me.
Me subí en un taxi. I live in West Harlem, so it was a livery or something. And
What's your blog? Tell me your blog. 'Cause I was born in
114.
Oh, you right there. I love that. I love that. I love that. Metiste
Right
en
there.
el barrio ahí mismo.
Oh, yeah, very much so. For years and years. Anyway, me subo en el carro. They have, I'm not going to say which station playing. It wasn't yours.
Okay, thank you.
And the anchors, who definitely someone's Dominican, I don't know, definitely someone of them is Dominican. And they were the ones right in our city repeating lies about immigrants and refugees. And my head exploded. I was like I had just gotten back from South Florida, where you turn on the AM station and it's all misinformation, basically, in Spanish. And I was like, but here in New York City, you're talking this way about immigrants? And they were repeating these false claims about immigrants/refugees, which, by the way, refugees, okay? Es una persona refugiada, ¿entiendes? So that was heartbreaking, which again is why we have to have these conversations amongst ourselves.
I feel like sometimes media, just to get a reaction, but it's like, okay, you want to keep, saying the same thing over and over that you probably know is not right, just to get callers, just to get people to post videos of them listening, just being mad. No, we have to be more responsible, as media, as journalists, especially if we're in the space of Latinos and, sharing on Latinos to Latinos. Like, how irresponsible can you be?
Yeah, no, that's...
Especially if they're seeking us out as someone who is giving them the information that they need.
It used to be back then, right, when, like, the Spanish language radio stations were just popping up in New York City, it was like una comunidad. La verdad de que se sentía como una comunidad más. But now it's gotten so complicated. And, we are the fastest growing, along with Asian population in this country. We are the most powerful consumer. You and I, actually, Latinas, over-index over black women and white women in terms of determining what's going to be bought in our homes. We are the most powerful consumers. What else are we as consumers? Brand loyal.
Oh, that we are.
You know that.
Olvídate.
O sea, si tú no compras la toalla de papel que tu mamá compra, el detergente, el arroz, los frijoles, lo que sea que tu mamá compra, that's who we are. So instead of seeing us with that kind of economic power, we're being seen as takers, which is a lie.
It absolutely the opposite. And one thing I love about iHeart, is they see the value in Latinos. iHeart flew me to Procter & Gamble to discuss, Latinos in media and Latino consumer. And I'm like, me? And they're like, yeah, you, because you are who they want to talk to. And they were like, we're not going to send two white men or two white women there. Absolutely not. And the client, I call the client Procter, they were just so happy. They were just like, they put me there and I was like, this is what we want. This is what we need. And, I applauded iHeart for picking someone who represented who their target audience was. Like, and what they're doing, even what they're doing with My Cultura Podcast Network, these shows are so positive. They're so, all over the place. They're, they have people that, they have Jenny Rivera's daughter, Chiquis. She is absolutely amazing.
So
we have
sweet.
Wilmer Valderrama. we have you now, which I love. I was just like, wow, we're really, really raising the damn bar. I'm like, I better get my interview questions up.
You know what I love is that I think it's 250 million listens every month. And so for us, it's like, wow, there are a lot of people who know about us, but there are a lot of people who don't. So it's like, yeah.
That net you just cast it, girl, is going far and wide. And this is, Latino USA, this is the content that we need, created for us, by us. It's so crazy because FUBU was a black brand, but that name, it stuck with me forever because I'm like, that is what we need to consume, things that are created for us, by us. I don't want a white woman creating a Latino podcast. I just don't. I want you creating a Latino podcast because I'm very in tune with who is speaking. And, I saw that, you're very in tune with who gets to tell the stories, when picking journalists and, your platforms. And to me, that is top when it comes to journalism and Latinos. Who tells our stories?
So it's interesting because one of the things that we love to do is, yes, our investigative work is award-winning. Our narrative work is really beautiful. But you're right, we are very conscious about who's telling and how the stories are being told. In the case of Suave, which won the Pulitzer, Suave was in prison for 31 years. He was sentenced to life without parole as a juvenile when he was 17. The Supreme Court, in part because of Sonia Sotomayor, they reversed that. It is now illegal to sentence a juvenile to life without parole. When I meet Suave, I never thought that we would end up. I started recording our conversations when I thought the Supreme Court might reverse this decision. Now Suave, we dropped season 1, won the Pulitzer. We just dropped season 2, but Suave is one of the producers now.
Oh, so I love that.
Yeah, so it's not just like we're gonna, just use you. Actually, you are part of the production team, and you're gonna help us tell better stories. And so now Futuro Media is not just Latino USA. It's the Suave podcast. It's Anything for Selena. It's My Divo about Juan Gabriel. It's him. Loud, the history of reggaeton. It's La Brega, which is all about the Puerto Rican reality. Puerto Rico is like everywhere. Bad Bunny, though.
Vamos a hablar de Bad Bunny. Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you. Of course, I've known about Bad Bunny from the very beginning. Obvio. We were talking about him, what over a decade ago. When he released this album, so I've been a fan, but, just like from afar. When he released this album,
Debí tirar
más fotos. And the first time I heard Nueva York, I'm going to be very honest, I was like, ¿Qué pasa? Wait a second. I was like, but este es el gran combo. And I said to my future Puerto Rican daughter-in-law, yes, it's true. I said, no, pero yo no entiendo. ¿Por qué es de que él está usando el trabajo del gran combo Un Verano en Nueva York? And then I took a pause. And then I was like, oh my God. When it shifts.
When that beat drops,
I was like, oh no, what? And then the album grew on me. And so I am such a Bad Bunny stan now. Honestly, we should just call him Benito because that is his
Benito,
name.
te amo.
Benito. O sea, lo que él ha hecho para el país de Puerto Rico.
Él no tiene miedo. He is fearless.
He is fearless and just filled with so much heart. That's the thing we love about him is that he's got a lot of heart.
Él ama a su país. We almost kind of lost him cuando se fue para California con las Jenners.
I wasn't going to say it, but you know.
I was worried. I said, Benito, what is happening? Come back to us.
But I think maybe it's that internalized thing. One, we don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know at that level if it was arranged or no sé qué, whatever. But I think there's also this internalized thing. Like, my first boyfriend was a white male preppy named John. I'm not going to give his last name because I don't want to reveal. But, it's like we want to almost become that thing. And it's like, no, es que we can love all of our white people. They're our family. My son-in-law is white, Irish, white immigrant. Pero it doesn't mean that we see ourselves as equal. That's what's important, is that we see ourselves as equal. Siempre. And that's how we have to understand it, rather than, oh my God, we want to be you. we need to fall in love so that you see us. No, we're here. Respect us.
100%. I went to a gala at Cipriani's where you were being honored in the wintertime, and there were a lot of people speaking. And, some people spoke about, how they felt and how, they felt lesser of. And it was weird because I said, I've never felt lesser of. I've always felt like just as important. Y no sé si es que yo soy super overly confident, but with my white, college mates, co-workers, whoever it is, black, white, Asian, I've always felt like yo soy importante igual que ustedes. Yo nunca me sentí lesser of. Yo no sé si era que my mind was just like, yo, I'm just as important. But I want everyone to understand, it's like, as Latinos, it's just like, we are so important. Our voice matters so much. Our spending dollar, like we can shift a whole election, but we have to understand that. We have to put our mind there. That it's just, yo soy tan importante como todas las blanquitas, todas las morenitas, todos los asiáticos.
Now, when you think about one of the more fascinating politicians right now, she is a Latina, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So,
La amo.
She's just fascinating as a politician, what she's trying to do, what she has done and continues to do. This whole conversation that she had in her district with people who voted for Trump and also voted for her. So, again, Latinos and Latinas, we are not in the back seat. We are in the front seat.
Manejando.
And I want to take a moment to say,
please,
there was a lot of, after the election, it was like, oh my God, you Latinos, you voted for Trump. You delivered this election to Trump. It's not true. Trump would have won without Latinos and Latinas. So that is actually on white America. White men and white women. They have to answer to that. But it is true that more Latino men turned to Trump. So on Latino USA, we're doing a series called Hombre, Understanding Latino Men. So we're able to understand Latino men. But my point is that what happened in LA at the beginning of the summer, cuando el pueblo de Los Angeles, led in its majority by Mexicanos, Chicanos, Chicanas, we have to say thank you to standing up for democracy. What they were standing up was saying, you cannot come into our communities and terrorize us with masks in the middle of the night without due process. So people are like, oh my God, how radical. Actually, they were protesting to save due process and our democracy. So thank you to los jovencitos y las mayorcitas, because there were people of every age group out there.
Todo el que se arriesgó.
Exacto, which is crazy because taking to the streets to protest should never be a question of riesgo. There should never be a risk if we are taking to the streets to protest because we live in a democracy. I mean, ish.
You know how they're moving now. One bad move and your life is taken. The way things are right now, it doesn't even feel safe to go to a protest. Like, we live here in New York, and it's just like, you see footage sometimes, and I'm like, how did things get so out of control?
But remember that most of the time, so we know this as journalists, like, if we're at a protest, we're actually not going to post the stuff that's kind of just normal. When something, algo se escala y se prende, that's actually what you're going to talk about.
Immediately.
So I just want to say, overwhelmingly, the protests are overwhelmingly peaceful. And we need to realize that. Like, for example, there were protests yesterday in Israel. Hundreds of thousands of people in Israel came out asking for a ceasefire and for a hostage negotiation and for stopping this war in Gaza. War on Gaza, not war in Gaza, the war on Gaza. They were overwhelmingly peaceful, those demonstrations. So let's remember that yeah, you're going to see this stuff where it gets tough, and there are always instigators at protests on either side, to be honest. I hate to say that, on both sides. Pero I was a hothead at one point, too, when I was a kid.
La pasión.
La pasión. Entonces, yeah. And again, we don't want to be the ones who end up being the instigators, but it is true that on the other side, they are now coming at protesters, nonviolent protesters.
With force.
With the military, with federal agents, with National Guard, with arms. So it is truly being instigated from one side.
We gotta be strong. You're strong. Let's talk fitness, because we had we had a whole pre-meeting to this interview, and something that kept coming up is, have you seen her body? Have you seen her muscles? Have you seen her? Did you see her bikini? I'm like, yes, I did. They're like, you have to tell her to talk about, her workout. Have you always been like a fitness person?
I don't know if I would say always. I danced when I was younger, but really what happened, I'm just going to be very honest with you, because I'm always honest. Yes, so I was always working out. It was always happening. But what happened was in 2015, todo se me estaba derrumbando. Actually, I was having my dad, my best friend, my cousin were all dying within a period of 6 months.
Wow.
I was very challenged at work. I was having financial issues because we had 2 kids in college. Herman and I were having issues in our marriage.
With all those things happening, of course your marriage is going to be affected.
Todo.
How can it not?
Entonces, somebody said to me, one of my trainers actually said, you really need to start taking the boxing class at 6:30 in the morning. I was like, hell no. I'm not waking up at 6 in the morning. Hell no. I was like, I'm never doing that. Something said to me, go. And I realized that I needed that letting go, that punching of the bag, and believing that I could be a boxer, because I'm only 5 feet tall, so I'm really, really tiny. And then it's just intensified, the boxing, and now I'm weightlifting pretty intensely. And I have a dear friend who is now, well, she's now a dear friend. She's a trainer, actually a former Republican state trooper, woman.
Olvídate.
From Connecticut, whose heart has really changed in the process of she and I working out intensely over the past year and a half. So I'm very dedicated, but the other thing that I put a lot of emphasis on is sleep. So I make sure that I get at least 8-7 hours every night.
How your body heals.
And I don't eat anything processed. That was hard. I have to be really honest with you. Just giving up everything. No cookies, no potato chips, no crackers, no cold cuts, no nada de eso, nada, no candy, no sugar.
Se acabaron los bizcochos, se acabaron las
Todo
galletitas.
Eso.
Jamón
pero,
con queso, no.
No.
Fruta, vegetales.
Sí, pero mira, lo que pasa is that a lot of that stuff that we eat it's a bit addictive, you understand? Like you have it and then...
And it makes us sick.
And then you want it again. You're like, and by the way, I loved me some Cheetos. Oh my God.
Hot Cheetos or just regular Cheetos?
No, either one. No importaba. I always had a bag of Cheetos in my desk. No. Jamás. No puedo.
Eso es tóxico. Now you think about it, like, I was poisoned. I used to like those Takis, the spicy Takis.
Yeah, man. That's all banned in Europe. You can't get it in Europe.
That's a whole nother conversation. The way we're being poisoned in America with the things that we are allowed to eat. But nah, you look absolutely amazing. You're a fitness inspo. I saw your arms. And I said, if I had
I started because of Michelle, though.
Obama?
Okay? I started because of Michelle Obama.
Well, yeah.
That was a long time ago.
When you could wear those sleeveless dresses the way Mo used to wear, like, come on.
Yes. I'm just telling you this. It's not, and the reason why I post.
Yeah.
Because I do, and as you know, I did just put a thirst trap up there. I was like,
you look
Maria,
good. That was in Brazil?
I was like, are you going to do this? And I was like, you know what? Have fun. And
good.
Mostly for inspiration.
And you look fit, and you look respectable, and it's not lewd, it's not overly vulgar. It's a dope picture.
Thank you, Mama.
I loved it.
Thank you. I really love to inspire.
You do.
So it's not so much like ooh, blah blah. It's like you can do it too.
You see this. You see this. You see this. You see this. You can get this shit too. If I got it, you can get it too.
If I got it, you can get it. And I get inspired. There's a woman who's I follow. She's a Canadian woman. She's like 75, and she was not in good shape like a decade ago. She was, oof. She's 75 and she is killing it. She's a weightlifter. So I'm like, si ella puede, yo puedo.
Claro que sí.
So I'm there for the inspiration. Absolutely.
I love that. And I am just so happy that you are part of the network now.
Thank you.
Talk to me. Where do we need to go? What do we need to follow? What do our listeners need to do right now? Whether it be with Futuro Media, Latino USA, or your new partnership with My Cultura Podcast Network. What do you want us to activate?
Well, look, I think the conversation with My Cultura, the network, I think is just starting. This just happened. Mm-hmm. So where we go from here is really, like, there's all kinds of possibilities. Like, of course, I'm in the headquarters.
You in the
of-
network. You here.
I'm in the network, and I'm looking out there, and I'm like, oh, y'all do. You can do live events here?
Oh,
You
yes.
have a
Go-
little-
let's do
I'm
it.
like-
Come on.
I'm
You
like,
wanna do
oh,
it?
we need to do something live because we love to engage with our audience. But the most important thing for
Mm-hmm.
us is, again, we have a big, it's like we have a big impact with a huge network, iHeart, but actually we're small. We're tiny but mighty. We're
But you under the
scrappy.
umbrella. That's what matters.
We're under the umbrella, but still we depend on our audience to support us. So, for example, we still fundraise. We're still a nonprofit. We are not a for-profit independent newsroom. We're nonprofit. And right now, we're depending on our listeners to become members, right? That's the new thing now. We created a membership program,
Okay.
Futuro Plus, and it's super easy. It's $7 a month, and then you don't have to hear the ads. And
Let's do it, man. If
You
you
get the
pay-
little chisme. We do the behind-the-scenes things. So, yeah, it's just actually asking people to become a member
Futuro
of
Plus.
Futuro Plus, and then sharing and talking about our content, just sharing and talking about it. So honestly, it's my pleasure and my honor to be in the conversation with Honey Herman. I'm como honey, but I don't spell honey Honey.
How do you spell it?
Entre Herman y yo,
¿Cómo se dice? ¿O cómo se-
Joni.
Oh,
Honey.
Claro que sí, con una J, no
Es
con una
honey.
H.
Es honey.
Honey Germán. That H don't matter. That H don't matter, man. I'm so happy. We got to sit down together. I got to know you. And I can say, you know what? I sat down con la increíble, the icon, the legend, Maria Hinojosa.
Ay, mamita. Honestly, it's my pleasure. And it's my first iHeart, part of the Mi Cultura Podcast Network interview. So you did it. And obviously, we're on the same wavelength.
Oh,
so.
we're on the same exact page. After this, we're going to talk about everything we need
I
to get
love it.
together and do and make it happen. And whatever you need, I'm here for you.
I love it.
Whatever which way I can facilitate.
Hermandad, sisterhood,
Oh, claro
solidarity.
que sí, man. Eso es, la unión hace la fuerza. That is a big Dominican thing. When you go back, tell tu esposo, ella sigue diciendo la unión hace la fuerza. That's something they would make us repeat in school in Dominican Republic.
Oh my God, I love that. But you know what my kids are? My kids are Dominimex.
I love that. My two favorite foods, Mexican and Dominican. Olvídate. I don't even want to think about what y'all be cooking
now
in that house.
I break the diet for queso frito.
Un quesito frito con un mango. Ay.
Con mangú,
Come
con mi yuca.
Ay, yo no comí hoy.
yeah.
Please, Maria, no he comido hoy. No he comido hoy.
I also break it for pupusas.
Ay, sí. Una pupusa nice and gooey. Ese
Number
queso.
one.
Shout out my salvadoreños.
And
Ya.
also taquitos. I'll break my diet for those.
Those are like flautas. I love flautas.
I like Mexico City style tacos. So taquitos like a small tortilla.
Okay.
With the freshly chopped meat, cilantro, cebollita, salsita.
Ay, tú me estás dando hambre, mujer.
I know, I'm sorry.
Ya
me
estamos
too.
terminando y ahora tengo hambre. Nah, man. But thank you so much for sitting down with me. You're absolutely stunning. Your work
Thank you.
speaks volumes. And I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you.
Thank you, mamita. What a blessing. Mwah.
Gracias. Come again.
You call me and I'm subway right away.
Hey, they get it. Thank you.